It is day 9 hiking from Victoria to Tofino, and we made it to the West Coast Trail. Today is our first day on the West Coast Trail. We're probably going to do about 20 kilometers total today. Started off rainy, but the sun has come out and it feels so good. We're about to hit the beach to do a couple kilometers of beach hiking. We actually started our hiking day a bit before starting the West Coast Trail. Since our goal is to hike a continuous footpath from Victoria all the way to Tofino, we first hiked through Port Renfrew from our accommodations to get to the southern terminus. There, we gathered with fellow West Coast Trail hikers and received our orientation from Parks Canada, and then our short boat ride over to the start of the trail. In case you missed the first 2 parts of this series, my husband Brian and I started our hike right from our apartment in Victoria. We walked for 3 days, mostly on road, then reached the Wandawhfuka Marine Trail and hiked that into Port Renfrew. In this video, part 3 of a 4-part series, we hike the entire 75-kilometer or 47-mile West Coast Trail over the next 4 days.
Here we go.
It's really cool. We can look back and see where we finished the Wandawhfuka Trail. Not yesterday, but the day before. And we've walked all the way around to here. The West Coast Trail has become a famous Canadian backcountry wilderness trail for its raw beauty and rugged difficulty. It passes through the traditional territories of the Huu-ay-aht, Ditidaht, and Pacheedaht First Nations. It is part of the ancient paths and paddling routes used for trade and travel by First Nations people. Over 200 years ago, foreign sailing ships started sailing along this coast, and it became notorious for shipwrecks. To offer a life-saving trail to shipwreck victims, the Canadian government upgraded the coastal telegraph route, creating the West Coast Trail, then called the Dominion Life-Saving Trail. As navigation technology improved, the role of the trail as a life-saving trail became obsolete, and in 1973 the trail was reclassified as a recreational hiking trail. At present, over 7,500 backpackers hike the West Coast Trail every year. The permits are so popular that Brian and I had to be ready with multiple computers the exact second they went live in order to secure one. Today, Brian and I hiked 18 kilometers to get to Camper Creek campsite. Good morning. It's our first morning waking up here on the West Coast Trail. It was a perfect sleep last night here on the beach. And we're going to try to hike about 20 kilometers today out along the West Coast Trail. So day 2 on the West Coast Trail. And I think day 10. Yeah, it's day 10 today hiking from Victoria to Tofino. So we're feeling good. I was just walking along the boardwalk and one of the boards just completely snapped and I fell and hit my shin really hard. So had a breakdown of just feeling so much pain and fear and emotion. Now Brian's taking care of me. He's gonna bandage it up for me. Very painful. I smashed my shin. I often get asked how I stay so positive all the time while hiking. Most of the time, I am genuinely so full of joy from being in nature, doing the thing I love most. But sometimes it's really tough. Being out in the backcountry can be dangerous, and making informed decisions is something I am doing all day long. Here on the West Coast Trail, we are constantly taking into consideration tide levels, since many beach sections are passable only at certain tides. We are carrying bear spray and are always alert to the possibility of encountering a large predator. We are ensuring we eat and drink enough to keep our energy levels up and our brains able to make all these decisions. We are watching our footing on the boardwalks and ladders and so many other decisions throughout the day. So for me, when something surprising and or scary happens, I often need to pause, let myself feel whatever I'm feeling, and process the situation before I get back up hiking again. It usually doesn't take long for nature to help me feel better again. We made it to camp. I'm really tired today. I was definitely rattled by my fall, and I think it's just a bruise. I was able to walk 20K today. I felt like today was more challenging because I was shook up by that. But it was an absolutely stunning, beautiful, unreal day. Perfect weather to do such an amazing day of hiking. So I'm really happy about that. Tomorrow we have about a similar distance to do. We saw a whale today, a humpback whale, breathe a couple times. We saw a bunch of sea lions. We saw river otter, and I think that's it. It was a really special day. Okay, good night. One of my favorite aspects of this trail is that the Huu-ay-aht, Ditidaht, and Pacheedaht First Nations are guardians of this iconic trail. These trail guardians restore and protect this trail, and while you're hiking, you might be lucky enough to interact with some of them. Here at the Ditidaht Narrows, the Crab Shack is run by First Nations people, where you can purchase delicious food prepared fresh when you order, including local seafood. Pause to read the menu from this year. The trail here is impassable except by boat, and your ferry ticket is included with your permit. We didn't see a bear this time on the West Coast Trail, but we did see some signs of bears, like this print in the mud here. We did see lots of slugs, and then we saw whales again, and I couldn't have been more stoked.
Really? Wow!
That's so awesome.
There it is, I got it, number one. It was just right of the rock. There it is with the fin.
That's a fin! Did you get it? Or you...
There it is, just went. Well, now I'm invested.
I know. But
there it is, another one. Yeah.
We made it to camp. We're at Klanawa Creek Camp, kilometer 23. We're going in backwards order, so we have 23 kilometers left to finish, and this trail is 75 kilometers long. So We are almost on the West Coast Trail. We should finish it tomorrow. We had an absolutely incredible day. Stunning beach hiking. We saw whales. We had some beautiful inland hiking where we were looking out above the ocean. Just champagne hiking today. It was great. We're struggling to wake up today because, as you can hear, it's extremely rainy today. Our plan is to finish the West Coast Trail today, but today is supposed to be our longest day of hiking on this trail yet. So, we are not overly enthusiastic about getting out of our tent right now. Aside from the fact that hiking in the rain is uncomfortable, it can also be very dangerous. The volume of rain caused the streams to become deep and fast-flowing. We had several stream crossings that were this hectic, and to be honest, it was the scariest part of the entire hike. Looking at this footage now, I realize we should have removed our ponchos. When fording a stream like this, it's advisable to unclip your waist belt and chest strap on your pack. This allows you to slip it off if you fall into the stream. We did those steps, but with the ponchos still in place, we would have had trouble slipping off our packs. Thankfully, neither of us fell, but I definitely plan to remove the poncho for stream crossings like this in future. Right when I was feeling cold, wet, and a bit scared from the stream crossings, I heard a loud whistle. I looked up and it was 2 of the trail guardians in their cabin waving and smiling at us while we walked along the beach. They flashed us a thumbs up in the form of a question. Are you all good? I immediately smiled and both Brian and I flashed thumbs up back. Yeah, we are all good. And then I realized, actually, we are great. We get to be out here having this adventure with all the beautiful and wild moments this rugged coastline has to offer. I get to challenge my body and push myself through this landscape, all thanks to the collaboration of many people and groups. And I have the honor of getting to share it with all of you. Even though it looks like I'm physically limping to the northern terminus here, my heart felt so full. We set up in the Pacheedaht Bay campground to get some much needed rest. Thank you so much for watching this episode. In part 4, the final part of this Victoria to Tofino series, we hike from Pacheedaht Bay into Bamfield, take a float plane across the ocean to Ucluelet, and then hike our final stretch from there to Tofino. I hope to see you then.